pleasure and the power together in the strain. He awoke cold and damp in the dark, well past the midnight hour. He'd spent most of the last year guzzling away his late mother's dower. More often than not, he crashed in that chair on the porch rather than a bed. The house reminded and contained the broken dreams that lingered in his head. His scarred and hardened hands stretched to reach his bottle. Friend, money gone, his indolence must now come to an end. Tomorrow's always his first day without the booze. Swilling back the Jim Beam, put him back to snooze. Stirred again as sun invaded treetops, he staggered through the door. Last night's dinner dishes beside mother's dog scattered across the floor. The bathroom's mirror reminded him he was looking ill and mighty frail. Liquor manifested stupor, he tromped upon the sleeping mutt's tail. He microwaved yesterday's coffee and sweetened with Jim Beam, hair of the dog, mixing with a rusty knife instead of cream. Once he was a hand of good repute, backsliding slosher, now his resolute. News of his father's passing, then finding mother cold, left him floored. Their deaths led to liquid courage, sadly, his double-edged sword. The liquor became the whitewash to paint his blues away. It was time to put the hooch down. He knew he couldn't stay. He'd found the gumption to make a call, try to get his old job back, knowing he must reclaim the discipline of which he was slack. The boss man knew the call would come. He knew their deaths had left him numb. The words, "Show up, sober, we'll do some talking," grounded him to the path he'd presently been walking. He mustered about until the jitters wore him out. He would see the foreman in the morn. Shaving, quaking hands and wits, caught somewhere between the nervous and fevered. He was torn. He hadn't slept. The toast he swallowed irksome, trying to find one or the other direction forth. He sat behind the wheel, said a prayer for the first time in months, backed down the driveway and headed north. The sweat of apprehension filled his shirt, the bottle in the glove box beckoning. Trepidation stuffed his head, reuniting ranch hands, this an earthly reckoning. Through the ranch gates, happy to be the first one there, the foreman's truck right behind. "You showed up. You can assume your old duties. Do your job. To the rest, I'm blind." Hands old and new offered a firm and fair shake. Humility nudged him further than before. He counted days, then weeks without a drink. He cringed of his transgressions and recounted his inner war. He cursed himself. How could he have gone so far wrong as to wallow in the shadows of the dead, grieving or relieving or their passing with the drug that was their demise, poisoning his head? They'd had their doubts, but he showed up and he busted his butt every day. He embraced the work, did more than most. By his third month back, he was there to stay. He figured 'twas better to have got up than to have never fell. It was his time for reclamation, pride in self, and job done well. Childhood and family that wasn't of heritage and habit pouring life down the drain. But as cowhand, he had learned and earned well the pleasure and the power together in the strain.